Evening all. Just waiting for a few others to join us. You're live. Hey, you're live. Yeah, it's obstructing my view. Manny, you good? Chris, how are you? You good? Just giving it another minute. Diddly-dee. Sherry, you good? Alan, you good? Okay, we give it about another minute and then we shall get ready to roll. Nigel, hi, I'm cousin Rochelle. Hey, Kai Aaron Williams, you're a football legend. Like that. Shall I doing? Cause long overdue. Need to come round to yours. Coley, still calling me granddad. I remember I was the first one, AC13 Premier cars. I was the first. Uncle Ron, Elise, how are you? Okay, another 30 seconds. Martin, how are you? I'm cool, big man. Yes, Magic, I'm good. I'm all good, all good. Yes, cuz. So true. Okay, so before we get started, the last few shows have been really good. So we did one on Islamophobia, talking about the terrorist groups. We did one on gangs and youth crime. We did one on addiction, and we did one on, last week was youth football. Now, what's been interesting is from these discussions, there's been lots of friends. Wayne, how are you? I'm good. I'll catch up with you soon, Wayne. From these discussions, there's been lots of friends being formed on air, lots of groups being formed behind the scenes. So whatever the discussions have been about, people have been WhatsApping each other, texting each other. I know that people have met up. I know that I've been invited to a homeless place in Nottingham. I've also been invited to a drug addiction place in Birmingham. So it's really good to have these real frank discussions about what people are potentially struggling with. Now, I don't pick the topics. People either text or WhatsApp over whatever they are struggling with. And this all started because of, I used to do weekly updates, just inspirational stuff or whatever it may be online. And somebody said to me to do something on the situation with the immigrants. And I couldn't find enough figures on the keypad to write down my message. I was just running out. So I decided, if I could, to go live. I spoke to a good friend of mine who then sent me live, and since then the numbers have blossomed. People have been yearning for more, and as I always say, I don't have all the answers, but what I try and do is match it up with biblical content and also factual. And here we are 6 weeks in, and I've been asked to go on YouTube because of this. So hopefully in the next coming weeks, I will eventually have a YouTube channel. How's that? Okay, so today's subject is the heart versus mind, which is a really interesting subject. Should the heart rule the mind? Do they work in tandem? Do you understand you? And how do you come to a solution or answer? I need to put this somewhere. Is that better? That's better. So, what is the heart? The heart is a hollow muscular organ that pumps the blood through the system by rhythmic contraction and dilation. In vertebrates, there may be up to 4 chambers, as in humans, with 2 atria and 2 ventricles. Ash, you good? Now, this is important for me. This part, I love this. The heart is regarded as the center of a person's thoughts and emotions, especially love or compassion. So within our heart, we hold certain feelings, certain emotions towards one another or towards a item or something. Love, hatred, compassion, jealousy, joy, sadness, affection, sympathy are all parts of what the heart stores, amongst many others. Cuz, how are you in Jamaica, Simone? Are you good? And my phone was just bleeping then, so I'm just coming back on here. Apologies for that. So, what about the mind? So the mind is the element of a person that enables you to be aware of the world and their experience, to think and to feel, and the faculty of the consciousness and thought. A person's ability to think and reason, the intellect, decision-making process, this is where the thoughts are processed in the mind. Okay. So our minds and our hearts are precious. Let me just say that again. Your mind and your heart are precious. Very precious. There is a battle going on to control the mind and heart on a global scale. If you didn't realize that, you need to get that bell ringing in that head of yours. There is a battle going on to control your mind on a global scale. There's also a battle to control your heart on a global scale. Pop stars, musicians, musical artists, film stars, sporting personalities, TV shows are influencing our youth, whether we like it or not. That is fact. Pop stars, and you have to look at the tattoos, and you see that so many youngsters now are getting bathed in tattoos, whether it's right or wrong. It's been driven, obviously, from a lot of the pop stars or pop artists, what have now got them. And some of them can influence in a positive way. Some of them can influence in a negative way. Musical artists, film stars, what else can I stars? Sports stars, and of course TV shows. They are influencing our youth through the hearts and minds. Hitler said around the invention of the TV that if you give me the minds of those watching the TV, then I can control the next generation. It was something to them sort of words, what he said. If you give me the minds of those watching the TV, I can control the next generation. The heart and the mind is a powerful, powerful tool. Every action that you've ever done started from the heart or the mind. It started with a thought or an emotional feeling. Every action that you've done, just think about that. Every action that you've done has first started with the thought or the heart, some kind of emotionally led. I'm just kind of scratching my head. Every action, I've got to say that again, every action that I've ever done has always started from the heart or the mind. So I'm kind of sitting here thinking, well, what influences, and we'll come on to that later, what influences my heart and my mind to act in a certain way, especially if there's not the time allowed for me to think about an action, then what influences my emotional response? God gave us filters, 5 filters to register information. These are the gateway for our minds and our hearts. Before it reaches our brain and our heart, it's passed through one of our guards. The nose. It can smell, touch, taste. The 2 final bodyguards to our decision makers are big. These are our eyes and also our ears. Our eyes and ears and nose and mouth and touch filter all sorts of information before it gets registered in our mind and our hearts. So it's like a doorman. So if you ever been out to the clubs or anything like that, then you'll notice that the doormen operate, and door ladies operate, in a way that they check every person that comes through the door. Nobody goes through without the check, especially nowadays. So everybody's, hands in the air. You've got electronic systems where they siphon whether you've got some kind of instrument on you or illegal drug. But there's doormen and door ladies that vet your entrance into a club. You have a doorway to your house. You have a gate. You have a fence. This is to prevent anything and anybody approaching your home. Then what about your own body? It's interesting. Do you vet who comes to you for whatever they would really want to speak to you about or talk to you about or approach you about or say to you? Do you allow every bit of information to get stick to you, or do you siphon through your eyes, through your ears? Because they are extremely important, these gateways, because they prevent or allow things to actually get in. This is the last door before your core value system. Now, your core value system is what you're about as a person. What are your core values? What are the things that fundamentally you don't like or do like or you allow? So everybody has core values. What you really stand for as a person, what would describe you, what somebody would say about you, what you know about yourself. There is some fundamental core values that you stand for as a person. This is where the good parenting comes in. This is your upbringing. This is your culture. This is, some of us, our spiritual wisdom. It is so crucial because the way you deal with certain bits of information depend on your core values and your non-negotiables. I'm not having it. A non-negotiable is, I ain't having that. That's a non-negotiable. So this is part of where you as a person now, your upbringing, your culture, your environment, your spiritual wisdom. This is what has been put into you as a child. In the Bible, it says, train up a child in the way that he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. Train up a child in the way that he should go, or she should go, and when they are older, they won't depart from it. Who is instilling core beliefs into your child? Who is scoping, advising, nurturing, guiding your child? This is the next generation. Is what your children hearing the right sorts of information? Because this is starting to build the core values of a human being. But also you need to understand you. What kind of person are you? What will you put up with? What you're happy with? What are your values? Are you an introvert? Are you extrovert, outspoken? Are you fun loving or are you quiet? Are you a disciplinarian or are you a leader? Or do you like to be led? There's different sorts of people. But you need to understand you. You need to understand what you're about. This will help you understand better yourself, but also how you come to certain decisions on a daily basis. Because the decisions that you make and you come out of what your core values stand for. So there's certain things that I won't have. There's certain things that I'd love to have. But that's because of my culture, my upbringing, what has been put into me as a young man, which then form my decision-making process. So I need to understand me, because then I understand how I get to the decisions that I make. Does that make sense? So we've touched on the heart and the mind and the meanings for what both are. We've touched on the filters for the heart and mind. Getting to understand the filters and how our hearts work and how our minds chunk information and come to decisions. And then this is what drives our decision-making process into reality based upon our core values. So I spoke to you about the heart versus the mind. With the research that I've done and the readings that I've taken through the Bible, the mind needs to rule the heart and body. The mind needs to rule. If you are led by the heart, you are dealing with emotions that may waver, feelings that may be strong and then weakened. The heart is usually the first of the two that is touched, but at all times it must be checked and validated. This must be validated by a clear mind that detaches itself from the heart. The mind deals with the short-term and long-term consequences on a positive and a negative scale. Are you back? Let me just say that again because I just had a weak reception just come up. The heart is usually the first of the two that is touched, but at all times it must be checked and validated by a clear mind that detaches itself from the emotion of the heart. The mind deals with the short-term and long-term consequences of the decision you make on a positive and on a negative scale. The mind is your sat-nav. So basically your heart is the first thing that is touched by what you see, or the heart obviously responds to it. But then this is where your mind now kicks in, because your mind has to validate that what your heart has witnessed or has felt. Now, if you run off emotions alone, then sometimes your emotions are unbalanced. They don't have enough information, but you are emotion-led. But then this now needs to be checked by the mind, because the mind can cement what the emotion actually feels. Hi, cause Steph, how are you? You good? So the mind deals with the short-term and the long-term consequence of the decision you make on a positive and negative. The mind is your sat-nav. So basically, you want to go somewhere. The heart, you want to go somewhere. You think you know where to go, but let me just check it. Let me just punch this into the sat-nav and see what comes up. That's the mind, and making sure that the heart is going towards the right destination. Sometimes we go by the heart alone. We don't need the sat-nav. But sometimes we get lost and we have to fall back and find out where did we make a wrong turn. But the heart finds instances, finds problems or whatever it may be, but the mind must back up what the heart feels. This is not me just saying it. This is me reading days and hours into this, and also praying about this. It's a really big subject. It even goes back to the Garden of Eden, and to those that don't know me, I'm a very biblical man, and I don't mind sharing scriptures and words. This is taken out of Genesis. Okay. Check this out. The serpent was the shrewdest of all wild animals the Lord God had made. The shrewdest. The serpent. Okay. One day he asked the woman, "Did God really say you must not eat the fruit from any of the trees in the garden?" "Of course we may eat the trees in the garden," the woman replied. "It's only the fruit from the tree in the middle of the garden that we are not allowed to eat." God said, "You must not eat it. You must not eat it or even touch it. If you do, you will surely die." "God knows that your eyes will be opened," said the serpent, "as soon as you eat it, and you will be like God, knowing both good and evil." Check this bit now. The woman was convinced. Wasn't sure. I think I heard right. So she convinced herself. So convinced, I think. What is that? Okay. She saw that the tree was beautiful. She saw that the tree was beautiful. She's lulled by something that she sees. It's beautiful. Tick, 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 tick. Emotions start going. And its fruit looked delicious. Oh, look at the fruit. Tick, tick, tick. The heart. And she wanted the wisdom it would give her. So she took some of the fruit and ate it. Then she gave some to her husband who was with her, and he ate it too. If we look at the story in the Bible of the creation, in the Bible of the creation of the world, God forms the beginning of creation, and from the beginning we're dealing with corruption. The serpent was the shrewdest. We're dealing with lies, deceitful behavior from the serpent, but his behavior was never validated or checked. So it was dealt with at the emotional stage. Nobody really checked it. The lady in the garden did not check it. The tree was beautiful, the heart. But let me validate it. That's the tree that God said don't eat, but she didn't. The woman was convinced. Convinced means when you're not quite sure, but you persuade yourself to know. I'm going to go with my emotions. I'm not quite sure, but I'm going to go with it. What really she should have done is check the mind and find out what was really said. It has now passed through the gates of her eyes and ears, and it's in. It's in. It's gone through the doorman or the door ladies straight into your heart. Now you endure. Because now you got your heart, which is pulling on your emotions, giving you a real fight, a real tug of war. It looked beautiful. She was lulled. She was interested. From when you're lulled and you're interested in something, then you start going towards that way. This is the heart. But where does the factual evidence come from? What's the background? Let me find out what God really said, because I'm convinced, but I need to know. She wanted, yes, she did want the fruit, but it's important that you make the right decisions, as this will impact and can impact your life on a massive scale. Massive scale. My grandma always used to say to me, and still does, don't take your ears, make dustbin. Don't take your ears, make dustbin. The Lord says it better. My child, pay attention to what I say. Listen carefully to my words. Don't lose sight of them. Let them penetrate deep into your heart, for they bring to life those who find them, and healing to their body. Check this part out now. Guard your heart above all else. It determines the course of your life. Guard your heart above all else. It determines the course of your life. Michelle says, I find the heartstrings often take over the mindset, even though the thoughts have been contemplated. But it's important you bring that into control. Your mind needs to rule your heart, not the heart rules your mind. Because sometimes your heart will be running on emotion. As long as your mind vets that and is fine with that, then that gives you a better, more balanced decision. So she's saying, I find the heartstrings often take over the mindset, even though the thoughts have been contemplated. But at least your mind's checked it and validated it. And through experience, I'd like to think that you come to the right answers more often than not, because some don't even bother with the mind. Decisions in your life are so crucial. Your decisions, we're talking, your decision, and I mean the main decisions that we're talking about, you owe it to yourself and your family and your nearest and dearest to take time and weigh up all the facts and emotions before deciding. You really have to worry about what decisions, where you're making them decisions, and who they're going to affect. A wrong decision can change the course of a lifetime. It can change the course of your children and your grandchildren. However, the right decision based upon all factual information and evidence can put you back on track. So a wrong decision can change the course of your life, and it can also change the course of the children and your grandchildren. This is how powerful this is. If you made the wrong decision at a certain time, and it's not the right decision, then that has a massive effect on where your life's going. So for instance, prime example, 10 years ago, I may have met my wife. 10 years ago. Now, I could have been messing about with Tom, Dick and Harry, or whoever it may be. Not Tom, Dick and Harry, but whoever. If I chose to continue to mess about, would that have mean my wife would have walked away? If she would have walked away, does that mean I would have been blessed with the 3 children that I now have? If I didn't have the 3 children that I have, then how would be my life been? It just messes with your whole entire life. If you make decisions based upon limited knowledge, emotion, you've got to factually sit it down and really strive to work out what is the best thing for me, my family, my children, whoever it may be, rather than be emotional led. If you put on a sat nav and you type in the sat nav and it's the wrong postcode, you can be miles away from the destination that you so wished. You can be lost, you can be gone, you can take the wrong turning just because you've typed in the wrong postcode or the wrong road, and it's taking you way off track. And to get back on track, which all of us can do, it might take a lot of work. It would definitely take longer, and it would take more than what was needed at the appropriate time if we'd have listened, if we'd have been obedient, and if we'd have took on board the correct information. Pete, top man, how are you? Emotion-led decisions lack thought. They're very short-term, spontaneous. We look at the here and now, but in life there is a bigger picture. I want to know it all. Me personally, the more information I can get, the better. Now, obviously, these emotion decisions, quick decision, what may be based around simple things that happen in life. But if you're not rushed and you have time and it's a big decision, use that time wisely. Even get an opinion from those that share your core values, those that you can trust, those that will be honest with you and tell you not what you want to hear, but tell you what you need to hear. That's what kind of friends I like. Sometimes it's not good. Sometimes it might be a little bit uncomfortable. But I know that my friends will tell me what I need to hear to make me move forward in life. Michelle says, very true. The saying is, learn from your mistakes. I think everyone in their lifetime makes a mistake. It's how you choose to deal with it within the heart and mind afterwards. Totally agree, Shell. And it's also how you can use those life mistakes to educate the up and coming your children, so that they don't fall in the same trapdoors that you fell in. My child, pay attention to what I say, it says in the Bible. Listen carefully to my words. Don't lose sight of them. Let them penetrate deep into your heart, for they bring life to those who find them and healing to their whole body. Guard your heart above all else, for it determines the course of your life. Guard your heart above all else, for it determines the course of your life. Most of our problems are caused by the wrong treasure being in our hearts, which will then affect our mind. We chase things based upon what is in the heart. As a Christian, we constantly talk about renewing of the mind, to ditch the old ways of thinking, to get a more clearer view, a clearer approach. It's like a computer having a complete cleanup, because the worldly ways and the worldly thought mind processes are very scary and very dangerous at the moment. It really is. But this is why I love my Bible. And for those that are not Christians and stuff, even just some of the sentences are really helpful. Store your treasure in heaven, where moths and rust cannot destroy, and thieves do not break in. Wherever your treasure is, there lies the desires of your heart. Wherever your treasure is, there lies the desires of your heart. Bex, how are you? Ronnie, how are you? Good? So we have to ask, who is putting the core values and core beliefs into your child? Who is educating our young ones? A tree with a strong root may blow left and right. So if it's got a strong root, strong core value system, strong beliefs, and the beliefs are not foolish beliefs, really strong, deep core values, positive values about life, then when the winds of life come, then the branches might blow left and right, but what you've got is a real strong root, because the core values of a parent has been inputted into a child. So it's important that we understand how the mind and how the heart work, so that we can pass that knowledge then on to our children and help them make less mistakes than what we've done. Some of us have made some, real big mistakes and real big calls that went horribly wrong. But you have to learn from them. And like Michelle said, you learn from them, but it's how you now apply those mistakes into your life to benefit those that are coming up. So I encourage you to get to know yourself. What do you stand for? What are you about? Because then you'll understand how you arrive at certain decisions. The decisions you make are made because of the core values that you hold. So you have to really understand, what is it in you? What is it about you? Am I, like I said to you, am I introvert? Am I extrovert? Am I a leader? Do I like to be led? Am I an inspirational person? Am I very quiet? Am I somebody that likes this or doesn't like this? How would I handle myself? Because then, like I said, you understand the mind process, and you already start to process thoughts about certain situations because you understand better how you work. And I think that is so, so important to understand that when your heart feels something, as mentioned, your heart feels it, I'm not quite sure, then your mind grabs hold of it. Now, I understand me, I understand my core beliefs, I understand my culture, tradition, but I understand 100% now my spiritual walk. And this is really helpful because I don't always make the decisions, but I know that whatever information I now receive has to be validated by the spiritual person within me that looks at it from a total different aspect from what I did 10 years ago. And more often than not, it's making the right decision. More often than not, the knowledge now is being inputted into my children. And more often than not, I'd like to think if they grab onto those information and those little nuggets and little bits, then that will stand them in good stead for the life what lies ahead of them. Yeah, Ronnie. Yeah, I am a Christian. Proud as probably 5-10 years ago. Probably wouldn't have said that. But as life teaches you and you get stronger and you get more wisdom and you get more knowledge and understanding, yeah, you can stand on your own 2 feet. So yes, Ronnie, I am. Also, I'd invite you to realise how important the gateways are. So your ears and your eyes, so important. Make sure that not anything these eyes see. There's certain things you need to shut your eyes, you need to turn away. Because if you do watch certain things and you see certain things, that will pull, that comes in. It's a way in. Once it's in, it's hard to get out. Your ears, certain music, certain things that you're hearing, certain things you're hearing in the home, certain things you're seeing in the home, ain't good as a child. It's not good as an individual, as an adult, but for a child, it's serious. So you need to make sure that what is going in is vetted. You stop it. These are your door people, your doormen, your door ladies. Check it and vet them. Vet what they're carrying, vet what they're saying. And if it's not really nice, out you go. If it's something that you think's palatable, then let's take it to the next level. In it goes. Engage your mind on big decisions and don't always be emotionally led. Guard your heart. I'm telling you, guard your heart. There's so many of our youngsters are giving the heart away too easily and then being exposed and being finding out the hard way. And what I'd encourage everybody to do is to guard the heart. And I'm not talking, like I said, miniature decisions. I'm talking big decisions. Is that the right person for you? I'm telling you now. I've got a niece. I want to know when my niece is ready. No, you don't have to be a Christian to guard your home. You just have to be somebody that understands. So Ronnie's more just asked, do you have to be a Christian to guard your home? Not at all. You just have to be someone who understands the dangers of not being vigilant to information that comes into your system, your body. You have to understand that the decisions, how you come to it, and that's guarding your eyes, your ears. You guard it because not all of it, what comes in, is good. So if a doorman's guarding a door for a nightclub, and you got a front door outside guarding people coming into your home, how are you not guarding what's coming into your body? It's not everything that you see and you hear you allow in to your heart and your mind. Because once it's in, it's in. You go and tell a doorman to throw 10, 15 man out of a nightclub. It's a nightmare. So what I'm saying to you now, Ronnie, is that the gateways to the inner man are your eyes and your ears. Your nose to an extent, your mouth, and obviously taste, smell, feel. But these are the big ones. And they must be able to guard and protect you. Because if they come in, then your heart's challenged. If your heart's challenged, and then it's speaking to your mind, if your mind makes the wrong decision, you're done. Of course we are governed by Heavenly Father, but there's also things that you have to do. This is flesh. We are flesh. So I do walk in the Spirit, but I'm also a flesh. So to stop me making bad decisions from what is seen and what is coming into your ears, then you have to operate with wisdom. So Craig says, I think you need to let little in to understand it is negative. Plus, I believe if your character is of the right way, then your eyes and ears and other gateways will work like second nature decision making. I agree. And that's why I said about your upbringing. And you said it, if you believe your character is of the right way, then your eyes and ears and other gateways will work like second nature and decision making. And that's why I mentioned about what makes your character. Your character is formed by your upbringing, what you've been opened up to, your parents, your culture, your background, your belief system. All those things are vitally important. That's why I say it's important you get to know yourself. Because if you know yourself, then you understand how you come to those decisions, what Craig has mentioned. And it will be like second nature. But as always, in any nightclub, sometimes you still got to check regular, because there's always that little one that is trying to sneak through. So it's important that we operate in a way that doesn't allow negativity to enter our system. Okay. I think that's answered your question, Ronnie. I think that's answered your question. Just going through some of the questions that have been asked on here. I was going to do this thing with the 2 cakes. I've got these. Stay there 1 minute. I'm going to grab these 2 cakes. It's important you see this. Stay there 1 minute. Right. With me, I have 2 cakes. Ta-da! See the cakes? I think these are Peppa Pig ones. Now, on one of these cakes have got the bad ingredients. Ketchup, ground pepper, salt, bit more pepper, One of the cakes has bad ingredients in it, but they are both cakes. But the cakes are only cakes by the ingredients we choose to put in and mix and come to an end product. One's a good cake, second one's still a cake, but the ingredients in this one ain't quite right. So I'm going to choose to eat this one. What am I saying? I'm saying to you that the ingredients we put in to our children form who they are, form their belief system, form the character, form the next generation, which then can affect the next generation. The decision what I put into that cake, not what anybody else. I chose to make that cake. If you don't understand what I'm saying, I chose to make my son or my daughter. I chose to make that cake. I also choose to put ketchup into the wrong cake, salt, white pepper. I chose to put that in. But guess what? That cake tastes nasty. And it tastes nasty because the ingredients I chose to put in. So when people are biting this cake and realizing it, it's not nice. It doesn't taste well. But I chose to make that cake. However, cake number 2 has the right ingredients. As egg, flour, I chose all the necessary ingredients to input into this cake. So now when people bite into this cake, everybody's enjoying it. What a wonderful cake. The ingredients you chose are spot on. I've made 2 cakes. One that doesn't taste good, one that tastes good. But I made both. I chose the ingredients. And at the end, there will be a cake that will be tasted and hopefully taste well. What I'm saying to you is that we choose to have relationships with certain people, and it's important that we then make sure we put the correct ingredients in to our loved ones, into our children, into our boys, into our girls. Start to build up their core values, their belief system, their character, their understanding. Because if you can do that, then I believe that you can start to change a generation. Because not only would you hope that would affect the nearest person that you've just spoken to and inputted into their life, hopefully that will go into your great-grandchild and your great-great-grandchild, just because of a decision you chose to make. That's how important your core values are. That's how important your eyes are, your ears are. That's how important your mind is, so that it can not control, but it can validate what the heart feels. Now, I hope that made sense. So in answer to the question, they both need each other. The heart needs the mind needs the heart. The heart is very spontaneous. The heart is very emotionally driven. The mind is the one which is factual, removes emotion and thinks straight logically. And that is what's needed at times when the heart, the emotions of something may choose you to make bad decisions. So that is it for another Sunday night. I hope that's helped and blessed someone and blessed the person. You know who you are. who asked for that. And what has been great is that after the shows, there's been a lot of texts going on, and a lot of people have reached out via text messages. Some people have reached out via inbox on Twitter. And I hope that continues. I hope that debate continues. I hope that people have been moved and at least had your thought process provoked. It'd be interesting to see what comes back next week. So all that leaves me to do is to say to one and all, have a great week, have a blessed week, keep safe, be good, and remember, the mind and the heart complete one another, but the mind has the final say. Ronnie. Thanks, you're very enlightening this evening show. Love you to bits, cuz. Ronnie Morge, change. Wouldn't the cornerstone of what you are saying come from your faith? Ronnie, okay. Take faith away from it. Take me being a Christian away from it. The bottom line is this. Your heart, your emotions need to be led by your mind. Forget Christianity for a minute. Your emotions need to be led by your mind, by your head. People run off emotions. Oh, I like that girl. Well, if you do something stupid, that girl is going to be part of your life for the next 18, 21 years. Do you like her that much? Or is it spontaneous? Or do you want to find out more? Because this is now where the mind kicks in and starts to think longer term. It's what I said, starts to think. So this isn't about being a Christian or faith. Yes, I make better decisions now based on the fact that I'm very spiritual. But the bottom line here is you need to make better decisions as human beings, not looking at anybody in particular. Because if you look outside and what's going on a global basis, too many people, especially our young people, are making bad decisions. Knife crime, gun crime. I've just heard right now in London, in the carnival, there's been 4 more stabbings. That is emotion. Oh, I've got to get him back. Where is it? That's emotional. Because if you sat down with yourself, if you sat down and drew into yourself, if I stab this guy, I'm going to be looking at 20 years, 10 years. That's going to impact my family. That's going to impact me as a man. That's going to impact their family. Is that really worth it? Now, if he's gone through them chain of emotions, then I'd probably think, ooh. But I bet you he's not gone through that. The emotions of some of the other guys probably saying, yeah, you need to get him back. You need to get him back. Yeah, you're right, trying to play the big man. But something's happened now down in London where 4 stabbings have happened. 4. I guarantee some of them will be emotion-led. There he is. Let's get him. There he is. He's in. Let's get him. Gregory, I love you, man. I love the philosophy you put of the Greenish. The mind is a controller of all. Has to be. The mind is factual. If you think about your mind and what your mind's, you sit down in an exam, this is it. There's a battle of the minds right now. Everybody's trying to gauge. Everybody's trying to get into this. Trying to get into your mind because that's what drives your decision-making process. Or does this drive it? Because if that drives, then you got a problem. Ask any man, and let's be real. Ask any man, when they go to a club and they're out and it's past 2 in the morning and there's nothing happening, and I think, do you know what? I need to have a dance. What's driving the decision? Is it this? Or is it that and that? Well, guess what? If you've married, if you've got a wife, if you've got a girlfriend, then that should kick in to stop that. It might not be the best thing for me to do that. And that's what I'm trying to say to you about the heart. And have I been there before? Yes. And have I made bad decisions based on heart? Of course I am. Without Heavenly Father in our lives, how do we truly know what is good from what is wrong? We basically... Without Heavenly... We should all have a basic understanding of what is right and what is wrong. And I mean, we should all have a basic understanding. When my children were 1, 2 years old, 3 years old, they always knew at a very young age what is right and what is wrong. And all I'm saying to you is this. This taste, feel a part of the windows to this. But the main ones, are your eyes and your ears. All I'm saying is vet. Not saying stop, saying vet what comes in. Because once it's in, there may be a problem. If it's bad, it might be good, but it might be bad. And experience and wisdom has taught me to vet a lot of things that now come in. And once I've had time to have a base decision based upon all the facts, I can then come to a better solution. But if I'm emotionally led, there's no time. Boom, it's gone. Days, weeks later, I might go, oh my word, I messed up. I messed up because I didn't really engage this with that. Is it always going to be right? No. But I know if I engage this with this, I'll have more rights than wrongs. My heart will always love that special person forever. Even though my head says I shouldn't, love will stay with us all the time till the end. And that's really because that's your heart. And that's really touching, because at times my heart will always love that special, even though my head says I shouldn't. I shouldn't. So your head's telling you shouldn't, but you still do. Maggie loved this topic. Hey, Jenna. This topic's a real topic because it's powerful, and it's the world right now. You just have to look. Go and watch your TV. Go and put on TV. Why do you think they put out subliminal messages? What are they trying to engage with? Subliminal messages. Why do you think Beyonce did what Beyonce did in the Super Bowl? Subliminal messages. Why do you think they kicked off when Beyonce did what she did in the Super Bowl? There's big arenas where subliminal messages are there to entice this, through those words, this, to get to this. And once this thought process is muddled up and is coming out with the wrong decision, that's why it's important you understand you, so you can get to why I make certain decisions. But if you don't know, you will make decisions and you're not quite sure how you are coming to certain decisions. Is it processed from you, or is your process being governed by the things that have been inputted on a negative scale. Yeah, exactly what I said. When your heart reacts to bad information, you get angry and sad. Your heart. When your mind kicks in, that's when facts are calculated. Fact. Just depends on how quick your mind catches up with your heart, like you say. Magic. Love that. And that's so true. I think I've covered all areas. And I really would like, thanks Michael, corrupted mind is what you mentioned. What we let in is corrupted by bad ingredients. A wise man once said, if corrupted mind is like murky glass of water, you have to put more water in it until it pours out, until it becomes clear. But you know what I am saying. You are spot on. Spot on. Ronnie, top draw. Water, clear mind. Put something bad in it and see what colour it turns to. Now I can still get it clear, but because it's been corrupted, it's going to take me longer. It's going to take me hard work to get it back to its former state. So instead of putting anything in what comes towards me, I need to check to see, is it the right thing? What is it going to do to the water? How long will it take? And if it doesn't agree with my core principles and what I want, I think that is us. Guard your heart. The world we live in is corrupted, very much so. But you've got to guard your heart. You've got to guard your mind. You've got to engage your mind. And you've also got to protect your kids and make sure the information that they are given is coming from a clear thought process, and help them understand how the information is given onto them and how they can, if they have the right principles, the core values, be able to be a success in this tough industry, what we call life. Guys, I'm out of here. Been great to talk to you for the last hour as always. If you like this message, please do share. Please do keep up the debates, because it's revelation stuff. And I love the fact that people will continue to talk about this maybe a couple of hours and maybe tomorrow at work. But what's important is that there's a debate, whether you rightly or wrongly agree. It's a debate, and it's people who should have their opinions heard. Out of here. Have a great week. Have a great Sunday evening, whatever's left of it. And I shall catch up with you soon next week. Let me know the topic for next week, guys. Good night and God bless. Don't eat that ketchup cake. Bad cake, bad ingredients. Good cake, good ingredients. And just for you, Craig, see how good it is.